New Jersey Governor Christie is apologizing for September's four-day traffic nightmare at the George Washington Bridge. Christie fired one top aide and cut his ties with another.
The governor repeatedly said yesterday he's embarrassed. He also said he takes responsibility for the scandal, up to a point.
I come out here today to apologize to the people of New Jersey. I am embarrassed and humiliated. I had no knowledge or involvement in this issue, and I am stunned by the abject stupidity.
Did you ever, for even a brief moment, entertain the idea that perhaps you should resign?
Oh, God, no. No, that's a crazy question, man. I mean, I'm telling you, I had nothing to do with this. I don't remember ever meeting Mayor Sokolich until I saw his picture last night on television. I wouldn't have been able to pick him out of a lineup. I was blindsided yesterday morning. I was done with my workout and got a call from my communications director informing me of this story that had just broken on the Bergen Record website. I didn't break anything. I didn't yell and scream. I didn't curse anybody out. I don't know what the stages of grief are in exact order, but I know anger gets there at some point. I'm sure I'll have that too. But the fact is, right now, I'm sad. I haven't had a lot of sleep the last 2 nights, and I've been doing a lot of soul searching. I'm sick over this. I have worked for the last 12 years in public life, developing a reputation for honesty and directness and blunt talk, one that I think is well deserved. But, you know, when something like this happens, it's appropriate for you to question yourself, and certainly I am. And I am soul searching on this. I am enormously flattered that folks would talk about me in my party as someone who they think could be a candidate for president. All those considerations are, you know, the kind of hysteria that goes around this because everybody's in that world gets preoccupied with that job. I am not preoccupied with that job. I'm preoccupied with this one. And as you can tell, I got plenty to do. So it's not like I got some spare time to spend.
Chief Washington correspondent, host of Face the Nation, Bob Schieffer, is with us. Bob, good morning.
Hey, good morning, Nora.
Well,
Hi,
I mean,
Charlie.
you just heard it. I mean, he's embarrassed. He's heartbroken. He's been soul searching. He can't sleep at night. This is one of the most extraordinary apologies I've ever seen. How about you?
Well, I think it is. I mean, I can't remember a news conference like this. Jim Vandehei of Politico, I was listening to him on the radio going home last night, and he said, I think the news conference ran about 17 hours. Well, we know it didn't, but what was it, 108 minutes or something like that? It was just extraordinary, and I guess the question is, did it work? You know, they teach you in journalism school when you're doing an analysis, the one thing you'd ever do is end up by saying time will tell. But in this case, I think time will tell, and here's why. If this story holds up, if all of what he said proves to be true, and I have no reason, I take the governor at his word at this point. If it turns out to be true, then he goes on to fight another day, and he's put this behind him. But if there is one shred, one scintilla of evidence that in fact he did know about it, I think he's finished, and I think there's no place to go after that. But it was an extraordinary performance. I mean, you know, in this age of media coaches and public relations talking points, I mean, this guy comes at you with all the nuance and subtlety of a dump truck, and that was just what he did yesterday, and that's what makes him effective. But you know, it's all got to be true. I mean, at this point, I would suggest that it probably is. I don't think he would have done this yesterday if he thought he was going to get caught, so to speak. So I think he lives to fight for another day.
Can I turn to one other subject, the Bob Gates biography? I mean, what do you think of that? Because he's raised questions about the Obama strategy for Afghanistan. He's criticized Joe Biden in a most direct way.
You know, Charlie, the thing about it, and I think there are others around Washington that kind of feel this way. I was not so much surprised at what he said, but the fact that he said it. I mean, Bob Gates has always been the soul of discretion. He's a Republican, but he's been one of the so-called wise men around Washington who people on both sides would consult. You took his word. The fact that he decided to come out with this rather harsh attack on Joe Biden, that he reveals some of these things while the president is still in office, I was really pretty surprised.
But you know what's interesting about it, Bob, is that and it always happens when a book like this is released, everybody goes for the most sort of the most sensational item. But there's a lot of very interesting observations. He calls the president the most deliberative president he's ever worked for. He says that the Secretary of State Clinton is smart, tough, practical. There's a lot of interesting nuances about people in the book that don't get out at the time of publication.
I think that's an excellent point to make, and I do want to read the book. I mean, it does sound fascinating. I just don't have a copy of it yet. But you're talking about kind of Hillary Clinton became his sort of soulmate
exactly.
during this administration, and I remember interviewing the two of them together from time to time. But yet he also quotes her. In the book is saying that she supported the surge in Iraq for political reasons, and I just if in fact she did say that, I think that's a stunning disclosure in itself. But again, I was just very, very surprised that Bob Gates would be this forthcoming at this point while the president's still in office.
All right, Bob Schieffer, good to see you.
Thank you, Nora.
And we'll be watching this Sunday on Face the Nation. Bob interviews Florida Republican Senator Marco Rubio. And you can also watch Rita Braver's Sunday morning interview with Secretary Robert Gates. That's his first this weekend, right here on CBS.